What's up everybody, this is Paul from Boosted Films, and in this video we're going to take a look at installing this cabin air filter in our 2003 Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. Should work the same for the base Lancer. And what's interesting about the 2003 model year is most of them in the US, or maybe even all of them in the US, did not ever come with the cabin air filter from the factory. So that's going to require some extra steps today if no one's ever installed a cabin air filter in your car before. So we're going to have to cut out a plate that's in place of where the air filter is going to be inserted. So let's jump into it. So the first thing you're going to do in this job is just open up your passenger side door, and then we're going to slide our seat back and make some room if you need it. It may just help with this job. And then we're going to open up our glove box because the cabin air filter is located behind this glove box piece here. So we're going to look to the left side of the glove box. There is this one little protruding piece that keeps this glove box from falling out of place, and that just kind of snaps in there. So in order to unsnap it, we're just going to raise it up a little bit. We're going to lift up the glove box a little bit, get our finger behind that piece kind of on the outside edge, and then pull it towards us, or pull it towards the dash of the car, towards the front, kind of just squeezing your finger down. And what that's going to do is just pop this piece loose. So now the glove box is still held in place on the other side, closer to the passenger side of the car. And all you need to do for this is kind of use the flexibility of the glove box, squeeze it over to the left side, pull it over, and then pull down at the same time. And you should be able to create enough room where it will just kind of slide down out of place. So we're going to pull the glove box off those hinges, and here you can see where this block off plate is. Typically this piece would not be here, and there'd be a cabin air filter screwed in. There's a screw hole in the bottom right, screw hole in the upper left. That's typically where you'd be removing some screws. And what's interesting about this particular TYC air filter here in this video, they even show that for the first time installation, you would have to cut out this part, preventing the box from being sealed as it is right now. So just an interesting note, and also something else you can reference if you did order this particular cabin air filter. And you can see the lines here with this rectangular shape. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to use a X-Acto knife or some sort of razor blade to cut in this line here. And the good news is that plastic is also a bit thinner right there, so it's not the hardest thing to cut. What I found actually worked best for me to cut this was to kind of use some force, push the razor blade through, poke it through all the way, and then once you poke it through, you should be able to kind of just use more force to continually slide it. Of course, you'll have to do this on each of the 4 different edges, basically. And of course, being a YouTube person and doing this video, I had to try and film myself while doing it, and that wasn't the easiest thing to do. It made it a little harder to actually cut, but I did get a shot here showing, with 2 hands, it helped a bit to have that extra force to then you could kind of, once you got it started sliding, you could kind of keep sliding it along. And again, you'll have to do that on all 4 corners of this plastic piece here. Notice that bulge in the middle too. What's nice about that is that actually is where this splits in 2. So that was nice. Once I got far enough along, I realized I could just push it in the center and it would kind of open up to 2 separate flaps. So I opened these up kind of like a door, opened it up, and then I could just wiggle it around a little bit to break it free. So that worked nicely to just remove this old plastic piece. So of course I did that on both sides. If you wanted to clean things up a little bit on the edges, you could. I don't think you really need to. You could do a quick test fit with the cabin air filter, make sure it slides in all the way and isn't catching on anything. But just be careful if you do too much extra cutting, that any little pieces of plastic don't kind of fall into your heater motor there. Just try to keep it clean. All right, back to our brand new cabin air filter. It does say airflow on the front. It's a bit hard to read because it's white on white, but it says airflow and it has a down direction. And there's also that little duckbill kind of thing that I like to call it on the back. So it's kind of hard to install this upside down, but I'm sure it can happen. But you should install it with that duckbill kind of portion down and with the airflow arrow direction down. And another way to know you've installed it correctly is by looking at the little extra hole. There's kind of 2 holes on the bottom right, because that second hole more towards the inside is for that part that protrudes out, and that's just kind of to line that up and know that you've installed it correctly. So you will need some self-tapping 5x14 screws. If you don't have these, it's a very common screw for this particular car. You may have some extras laying around that you can utilize. Otherwise, you may have to go to a parts store. Or if you ordered a different cabin air filter, you may have gotten lucky and they may have came with screws as well. So now we're basically up to the point you would be at if you had a car that just needed a cabin air filter change and you were putting in the new ones. You just put your screws in place. I like to get each screw started a little bit before I tighten them both up. You don't need to over tighten anything here. Of course, this shouldn't really rattle its way loose or anything. Just get them snug and make sure that your cabin air filter is kind of flat against your heater core here. And once I had them finally tightened up, I just checked to make sure it wasn't loose, not a lot of wiggle room or anything like that. And we were pretty much all set. Now we need to reinstall our glove box. Of course, there are those hooks on the bottom of the glove box. We're going to hook those back on to that lower portion there. And then lift up, and similar to how we removed it, we can just squeeze in the right piece of that glove box. You squeeze that over more towards the left, towards the inside of the car. And then it should just lift up and slide in place. And this other clip on the left side of the glove box that we removed, we kind of have to insert it, push it over to the left a little bit, and then push it up. And you should hear it snap in place. So we lift up the glove box just a little bit, push it in, and then up. And there you go. That's about it. Now your glove box should open and close just like it did before. And now you actually have a cabin air filter filtering the air that is blowing around inside your car. And that's it for this job. I hope you guys found this video helpful. As always, I'm just kind of a guy on YouTube trying to make videos and document things I do, documenting things as I learn. And we're always all learning, so if I did anything wrong, please let me know. If there's anything I could have differently, if there's anything that you found more useful, helpful tips that you have, please leave them in the comment section down below. And of course, check the comment section or the video description if there are any updates that I need to make. I can't entirely easily make them to this video, so they will be in the comment section or the video description. But as always, this is Paul from Boosted Films saying thanks so much for watching.